Hello, welcome to Harry's Horror Books. And today I'm going to give a book review of one of the most batshit crazy books I've ever read, the rare and hard to find Eat Them Alive by Pierce Nace, which is an alias that no one has been able to ascertain who exactly wrote the book. The consensus is it's a female named Evelyn Pierce Nace, but some people don't think that's the case. Either way, only one book was written under this name. This came out in 1977. This is a Manor paperback. Beautiful cover. Gets a lot of bad publicity because it's graphic and violent, and a lot of people say it's poorly written. But look at the cover. Again, I'm going to put this up here again. What are you expecting from a book that has a giant praying mantis on it? You read the back. The blood became a way of life. The image of revenge just lay outside his grasp until that fateful day on the island when it split open and the creatures emerged. It's already telling you right away from the blurb on the back and the cover art that this is not Hemingway. This is not going to be a greatly written book, just like the 1970s and 80s slasher movies were not greatly written movies, but we watched them anyway. We enjoyed them. We suspended our belief and just went along for the ride. And that's what this is. It's hard to give a review of a book like this without spoiling it. Everyone knows what this book is about if you're watching my page, if you're collecting horror. So there's really no spoilers you can give to a book like this anyway. But the premise is there's 5 group of young thugs, teenagers, early 20s. They rob, they steal, they torture people for fun, they torture people for a living, and they kill people. One of them has a friend in jail who finds out that somebody else in jail's grandfather has $1 million in a safe in his house because he doesn't trust banks. So they decide they're going to rob this person before the friend gets out of jail. So they find out where he is. 5 of them get together. They go to his house, torture him various ways. They figure out where the safe is. One guy is conveniently knows how to blow a safe with his nitroglycerin and his little explosive pack. So they get the money. Turns out it's almost $2 million. They want to get out of the house before it's discovered that this person is dead. They go to the woods, and they're sleeping out in the woods overnight. When it gets light, they're going to count the money, split it up 5 ways, and all disappear. The main character, whose name is Dyke, decides he wants the money all for himself. He's like, I could live, a good life for $2 million. So he doesn't fall asleep. His plan is to steal the car with the money in it and drive off where the other ones are sleeping, but that doesn't work. The car doesn't start right away. It wakes up the other people who surround the car, get him out. They clearly know what his plan was, so the 4 of them torture him, stab him, slice him, cut him, and castrate him, and leave him for dead. And they go away and they split the money 4 ways. You never hear about these characters again till later on in the story. This character Dyke is found by some Hispanic farmhands who nurse him back to life. Story jumps 11 years into the future. He's living on an island off the coast of Colombia. Has a little shack there. He has a houseboat he stays on. He's on the houseboat when an earthquake hits. Doesn't destroy his houseboat, but does some damage. But the cool thing for him is he's watching the island. Rifts in the ground are opening up and giant praying mantises are coming out and destroying and eating the villagers. For some reason, this doesn't scare him. It doesn't make him think about, damn, why am I staying here? Why am I not turning my boat around? He's thinking about how he can train these praying mantises to get his revenge on humanity, and specifically his 4 partners who castrated him. So he watches and formulates and studies the praying mantises. He identifies the leader, who he names Slayer. He lures Slayer onto his boat with meat that he has on his boat and animals he's killed. He's apparently a trapper and kills animals and sells their meat for a living, sells their fur. So anyway, his plan is to train this praying mantis so he lures into a friggin' cage, that he is its master. Its only food source is going to come from him. And a couple days of this, praying mantis has a full belly every day and understands that his food comes from Dyke, and he doesn't really try to attack Dyke. So after working with the praying mantis and training him and talking to him and verbalizing his fantasies of revenge, he decides he needs to get more praying mantises. He wants an army. So he gets some villagers from the mainland, tells them, the island's safe now after the earthquake and tidal wave and all that stuff. So he loads his boat up with all these villagers, takes them to the island, offloads them. Out come the praying mantises, who just attack and kill. He's sitting there watching and listening and getting excited with the killing. He knows if the praying mantises all have full bellies, that they will be easier to control. And the thing about this author is, and one of the criticisms I've read in reviews about this is, her descriptions of the killing is pretty graphic. She doesn't just say, they're being dismembered by a praying mantis. Praying mantis rips off an arm, then the other arm, then a leg, then the other leg. Then it rips open the chest cavity. It rips out the spleen, the pancreas, the appendix, eventually the heart. When that's done, they're dead. Sometimes our praying mantis are pecking out each eye individually, then cracking the head open and eating the brains. Later on in the book, they start killing female villagers as well, and Slayer has a preference for breast meat. And the lady who wrote this book, if it is a lady in fact, likes to describe the praying mantis holding a severed breast with the nipple facing up in its claw before devouring it. And, again, not every single praying mantis kill is in detail, but it's all the same. There's only so much a praying mantis can do to kill you. And so it gets a little repetitive sometimes, but, if you like gore, it's there. Dyke remembers that one of his friends was going to move to a city in Colombia when he got his money. So he said, I'm going to go find this town and see if I can find this guy. Apparently, it's easy to find rich Americans in the desert or in the jungles of Colombia. So, not much of a story there. He goes to the town, looks around, looks for fancy houses, blah, 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 ultimately finds the person. Dyke's plan is to find all 4 people. If they have families, if they have friends, if they have house cleaners, all these type of people live in them, his plan is to kill them all with his praying mantises. While the person watches, then the person gets killed. And that's what happens. He finds the first guy. In order to try to save his life at the end, he gives up cities where these other people live, which conveniently are all nearby. They all went to Colombia, 3 different towns, all within less than a day from each other. So for the plot, it makes it very easy for the story to continue without the author having to challenge herself to write something besides a man driving in a truck with praying mantises, giant praying mantises, to go somewhere and kill somebody. But again, we weren't expecting Hemingway with this. The best description I can give of this book is it's like a hallucinogenic mix of the movie Them with the original I Spit on Your Grave for the revenge aspect. If anyone ever seen the first I Spit on Your Grave with Camille Keaton as the star, it's a pretty brutal movie, but it's a great movie. So this book goes on, he kills all 4 people, but of course there's a little twist at the end where one of the person's brother was hiding in the bushes and didn't get killed by all the praying mantises or Dyke. So later on he hunts down Dyke, and he has his own praying mantises from a newly formed island that came up that was mentioned in the book but as a throwaway. So long story short, there's a little fight between the 2 of them and all the praying mantises, and good prevails where Dyke gets his comeuppance. But the author did have a little bit of chops. you could have seen the ending of this be stretched out to 30, 40 pages where each one of them are riding their main praying mantis and doing some type of battle, having some type of joust, something a little bit more off the wall and exciting than how it ended. But again, you know, it's a some of the reviews I've read said it's like a two-dimensional book. It's not even that. It's one-dimensional writing. No backstory to any of these characters. There's nothing explaining why they're all reprehensible scumbags. They just are. And nothing explaining the 11 years of Dyke's absence between the time he was castrated and where he is now, how he survived, how he made a living, how he got trained to hunt and kill animals. None of that. It's just take it for what it is, you know. But again, I'm glad I have a copy of this book. And speaking of you know, like batshit crazy, how I got this copy. I bought a lot of books on Facebook Marketplace for less than $1 each, which is great considering most used bookstores are selling books for a half cover price or even more. Was at a bookstore a couple months ago in southern New Jersey, and you know, most of the used books were $3, $4, $5. Some were even more, which I left sitting on the shelves. But when I got the package, there were 2 bonus books in it, and this was one of them. They're ultra rare, hard to find, eat them alive. I got for free. Currently, there's a copy on eBay going for $426. No, I am paying that kind of money for books. I like going to used bookstores and thrift stores and buying books for a couple bucks each. I like trading books with my friends. It helps keep the hobby affordable, and it helps make everybody happy. I understand there's a market for books. There's a market driven by demand. But at the same time, $426 for a book seems outrageous. So if somebody buys it, kudos to you. But I'm happy I got my copy for free. And thank you very much for taking the time to watch and listen.